All right, good evening, YouTube. So tonight, what we're working on is an 8-pound Boston butt. As you can see, it's got a really good fat up here on the top and right here on this edge. This is a bone-in butt. I like to leave the bone in it because it just holds it together better, and in my opinion, it makes for a better smoking. So we're going to be using a garlic aioli mustard as our binder, and this leaves no flavor behind at all. All it serves to do is help to hold on the seasoning, and the seasoning for this one is going to be Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse Rub. This is something that the wife and the family love very much, and so follow along with me and I'll show you how we're gonna set this butt up. Let it cool overnight in the refrigerator and then throw it on the smoker tomorrow morning. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take a little bit of the fat cap off the top, because in my opinion, each time we've done it in the past, it's been just a little bit too fatty. So what we're using is a J.H. Heckle's large knife, as you can see. And we're just taking off just a little bit of the fat, because while, yes, it is pulled pork, it doesn't need to have 3.5 pounds of fat in it. We do cook our Boston butts fat cap up so that as the butt is rendering and the fat is breaking down, it can work its way through the butt and help to keep the moisture level up. You only have to worry about taking the fat off on one side, the way the Boston butts come, because the bottom side is already completely stripped away. Now, some people will take what's called the silver skin off, but on a Boston butt, it doesn't have that. So you can see there, we removed quite a bit of fat. We got a little bit of the meat, but as you can see, it's got a layer below and above, so there's no way to preserve that. That would go real good in a pot and make a reduction, and possibly make some kind of au jus out of it. So this butt has been sitting for about 8 hours in the refrigerator to thaw out, because we get 2 packs. We get them at Sam's, and then before the meat went through the roof, we were able to get a really good price on them. So now you can see we moved a lot of it off. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our garlic aioli mustard and just slather it on. So you just get in here and work it, get it all in, all over the top, the sides, each end, just like that. So once you've got your mustard on, you want to grab your seasoning of choice and just apply a very, very liberal coat to cover the mustard that you just applied. And you'll see that the mustard helps to hold the seasoning on, so that when you flip it over, move it around, and just generally handle the butt, the seasoning sticks. Now this butt, because of its size, is going to go for about 9 hours. And tomorrow, what I'll show you once we put it on is how we go from a open cook like you see here to a pan covered in aluminum foil. What that does is it helps to ensure that the moisture stays inside the butt, so that when you go to pull it apart, you have the most tender cut of meat you've ever seen. So now that we've got this side, each one of the laterals and this end done,
Talk about how you just pat the seasoning.
we're going to flip it over and do the same thing on this side. We're going to slather it with garlic mustard, massage it in, and my daughter giggles every time I say it, but I'm rubbing my butt with mustard. And then we're going to do the exact same thing. On this side, you've got some cracks and crevices. So you want to pull those cracks and crevices open and get the seasoning all the way down inside them so that it has full contact with all of the surfaces. You notice that I take and I pat the seasoning down. It really makes a good mess out of your hand. However, it really helps to ensure that it adheres. Now this end has the bone plate in it, and some people will pull it out and some people leave it in. But as I stated earlier, I like to leave it in because it just holds the beef or the cut together much better, and it will help this pork to come out in a wonderful, almost fall apart, completely fall off the bone.
You missed the spot.
Hi YouTube, I'm helping.
So that's my editor-in-chief, my daughter Georgia.
I'll cut it out.
So that now we've got the butt the butt has been prepped. We've got the mustard on it. We've got the seasoning of our choice on it, and we've got it pressed in. What we're going to do is transfer it to a glass Pyrex dish. The reason for that is so that I can put it in the refrigerator, and as it sets overnight and it sweats, the pan will hold the juices and keep the juices directly underneath the pork. Then, once I have it in the pan, I'll come back and touch up the top side once again. You don't have to really worry about going too heavy on the seasoning, because as the pork cooks, it will sweat. Additionally, as you spray it every hour on the hour with apple juice, the seasoning will get watered down and moved around on the beef. Now, I do not inject my meat. I don't believe that injecting it does any good. So, sometimes on turkeys, we will take and inject about a 5-gallon bucket of butter. But on pork and beef, we don't believe in injecting them. So that's just the way we do it, and we find that it works the best. So the last thing I'll do for this pork tonight is cover it in tinfoil, put it back in the refrigerator, and just let it set all night long. As the meat chills down, the pores will close and it will draw the flavoring into it. Tomorrow, before it goes on the smoker, we will bring it out and we'll let it set on the counter and come up to room temperature. Because a room temperature chunk such as this heats up much quicker on the smoker. Now, our smoker that we use is a Pitboss Lockhart, and I'll go over the settings and everything for that later on in this video. Now, one question that I do see quite a bit is, do you have to let it set overnight? The short answer is no, because you can put the seasoning with the binder on it and throw it straight on, or you can let it set overnight. It doesn't matter. The only difference that I've noted is that when you let it set overnight, it tends to be a much more flavorful and robust set of flavors on your palate. When you don't let it set overnight, yes, you still get the same flavors, but they don't seem to go as deep into the meat. Now, once this thing comes off tomorrow, we're going to pull the bone out, and it literally will just pull right out. And then we're going to use a set of bear claws to tear it completely apart. So I hope that this video comes in handy. We're all going to sit back and sip on some proper 12 Irish whiskey and let this little pig get some rest. So I'll see you in the morning, and we'll go over what we do for the rest of it. Thanks. All right, good morning, everybody. As you can obviously tell, we've gone through the night, and the butt has been resting in the refrigerator for the entire evening. And I can tell you that without a doubt, the refrigerator smells like heaven, flat out. So as you can see, here's our butt. What we're going to do now is we're going to let it come up to room temperature or close there to it. The main reason you do this is so you don't set a ice cold lump of meat in the smoker and then shock the temperature. By letting it come up to a temperature closer to room temperature, it allows for a more easy transition into the smoker, and it also allows for a much better uptake of smoke. Now, some things that I'll do while it's sitting in here warming up, I'll go ahead and place our temperature probes. I like to run 2. I put 1 in each end, and what you have to be careful of is that you don't let the temperature probe hit the bone. You want to put it in the thickest piece of the pork that you can, so that it gives you an accurate reading. So once this warms up, we'll come back to you when we put it on the smoker, and I'll give you all the settings for the smoker and everything. Thanks. Alright, so we've let the butt come up to room temperature, and as you can see, we got some smoke rolling. On the Lockhart, I've got it set to the smoke setting, and what I'll do is I'll put the temperature probes inside, and then we'll set it up in here, and we'll let it go for about 2 hours on the smoke setting, so that it absorbs as much smoke as it can. Once that's done, I'm going to run it up to 250 and let it set. It's roughly an hour and a half per pound, and so this is an 8-pound butt. So we're looking at about 8.5 to 9 hours. So the last thing I want to show you before we get to cooking is that in the back I've got a bowl of apple juice. Some people say it works, some people say it doesn't work, but I figure apple juice is $1 a jug, so I'll throw some apple juice in it and see. One last thing that we will do throughout is I set a timer for every 45 minutes. When that timer goes off, I come out and I use a pump sprayer to spray the top of the butt with apple juice to further enhance the flavor and keep the moisture. You also notice that from last night, the fat cap is on the top side, so that as the fat renders, it drips down through the pork. So follow along with us, and we'll see you after a while. Okay, so now we're coming out. It's been about 45 minutes. We can see here on the temperature that the cook chamber is sitting around 214 to 215 degrees, which is a little bit low. I like to see it around 225, but that could just be because of the ambient air temperature. The apple juice that we've got inside, the level has gone down, so that's providing some humidity inside the cook chamber. And then inside here, we have a Chef 2-liter food sprayer that we found on Amazon. It's just a pump sprayer that pressurizes the container. It's full of just cheap Walmart apple juice. And all you do, pump it up, and then as quick as you can, spray. What you want to look for is just a moisture or a moistening of the pork. I like to spray the top and the bottom and get all the sides that I can get. But again, it's just a quick in, out, and then set your timer for another 30 minutes. Once you get up to about 2.5 hours on the cook time, spraying every 30 to 45 minutes, we'll pull it out, we'll put it in a pan, we'll tint it with tin foil, and it goes right back in for the remainder of time. The reason we do that is it helps to lock in all of those juices. As the fat renders through the pork, it will land in the pan instead of just dripping down and going to waste. So we'll see you in a little while. All right, so here we go. We've been resting for an hour, just setting in the oven at the temperature that the beef or the pork is giving off. And let's see what we've given. Here we go. All right, so you can see that it almost has a bark, and you can see the retraction that's happened. But now the real test will be with the bear claws to see how easy the meat tears. So, yeah. This is going to be some yummy pulled pork this evening. So, thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to the next one, and we'll see you around. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.